video is going to be about my favorite makeup brushes. I actually filmed this video at the very start of my channel a couple years ago, and I wanted to revisit it again today. I have gotten a couple of requests on social media, on Snapchat, and I believe Twitter. I will link below that video in case you guys want to check it out again. I have a ton of makeup brushes to share with you. This is just a couple. The rest are all in front of me. I have a mix of high-end, and I also have a lot of affordable brushes. So if you guys are interested, then please just keep watching. Alright, so I thought it would make sense to start with the foundation ones first. So the very first product I want to mention is a sponge. And no, it's not the Beauty Blender. It looks like a Beauty Blender when you're looking at it. It has that round little edge. It points up at the top, but it also has a little addition of a slanted edge to it. It's very bouncy, but it's firm enough, pounces that foundation in so nicely, so smoothly, and it looks completely flawless, but it's still $8 cheaper than the Beauty Blender. So really loving this sponge, and I highly recommend you guys check out the Pure Cosmetics Beauty Sponge. Next up for foundation, I actually have two foundation brushes. The first one is the drugstore, more affordable one from Real Techniques, and this is their Expert Face Brush. This is an amazing brush because it's densely packed, so you can really pick up that product, pick up that foundation, BB cream, CC cream, and I find that this one in particular works really well with BB creams and CC creams because those types of foundations are creamier, they're a little bit more sheer. With this brush, you're gonna get a more even application. It's really easy to use, it has a nice little shape to it, and it gives you just a little bit more coverage, which I really appreciate. And the fact that it has that little like kind of pinched angle to it lets you get right in there around your nose. You can get right up to the eyes, and I actually love using this with the IT Cosmetics CC cream. It's such a great combination. I love this brush. I love Real Techniques, and I highly recommend the Expert Face Brush. This next one is from IT Cosmetics. This is their All Over Heavenly Luxe Complexion Perfection No. 7 brush. This is the brush I travel with because I have my foundation brush on one end and then I have my concealer. I love this brush because it not only buffs in foundation, really kind of sinks it into the skin in such a nice flawless manner, but it's so soft, it doesn't feel scratchy, it doesn't leave any streakiness. And then I have this little concealer brush on the end that really buffs in that concealer right in that tear duct area where we tend to get shadows, and then I can turn it around and blend out the rest of the concealer underneath of my eye. Both sides are super soft. I love this brush. It's absolutely hands down one of my favorite brushes. So next up I want to talk about how I apply and set my concealer, and I have the power couple of brushes right here. They're both from e.l.f. and I love these together to both blend my concealer and then set my concealer with. So the first one is this Flawless Concealer brush from e.l.f. because it not only blends out the concealer, it pulls out any excess and it keeps it from creasing. It does a really good job of kind of dispersing the product evenly underneath of the eye. It's very soft, just a few dollars. So I definitely recommend you check out the Flawless Concealer brush from e.l.f. because if you're on the hunt for a nice concealer brush, it's a couple dollars and it does an amazing job. I love the small tapered brush from e.l.f. It's a little more tapered, as the name suggests. It kind of pinches together towards the top. It's just a little bit larger than the concealer one, as you can see, but it still has that little roundedness to the top, but it's dense enough that it picks up that powder and then evenly again distributes that powder underneath of the eyes. Highly recommend the small tapered brush. And then this next brush is kind of a segue into the next category, but I do like to use it to set concealer with as well. So this is the Beige Cosmetics V2 brush. It's vegan and it is the softest brush of life. It is so soft. It was only a couple dollars. I think it was maybe $6, and it does a great job again of setting under the eyes with concealer. Using a bigger brush like this will help to not only set that concealer but also blend some of the excess away, and I like using this brush for that. But I also like this brush for contouring. So you can kind of put it on its side and it will definitely hollow out those cheekbones, but it will also blend it out. Love this brush for powder in general. I think it's a really nice brush. So moving into the bronzer category, the first favorite is from e.l.f. This is their Mineral Powder Brush, and it's kind of like a ball-shaped brush, but it also kind of squares off at the top. It's very short bristled, but it's kind of dense, and it does a great job for contouring. I love this paired with the NYX HD blush in the shade Taupe, which is definitely not a blush because it's a gray toned brown powder, but it's the perfect undertone for contouring with. Love it. It blends easily, and paired with this e.l.f. mineral powder brush, it's a dream. Love this little guy. My go-to. This is the e.l.f. complexion brush. It looks like a thick, dense fan brush, and I really like this because once you hold it up on its side, you can kind of see how it's pinched together. It does a great job of applying that contouring powder into the hollows of your cheeks, but it blends it out, it diffuses it, it looks very natural, and it's just a really nice, soft, and affordable brush. So I highly recommend the e.l.f. brushes in general. I highly recommend. They're all really good. And then when it comes to the more shimmery bronzers, I feel like you need something a little more feather light to kind of diffuse and blend out that powder. You don't want to use a shimmery bronzer to contour with, you want something matte. But when you want to warm up the face, especially in the summertime, you want that shimmer. And what I like to reach for when I'm doing that is a nice oversized stippling brush. And I've used many. I have one from MAC, I believe I have one from Real Techniques, but this one is the one I've been reaching for the most lately. It's from Beige Cosmetics. It doesn't have a number or name on it, but it's basically just their large stipple brush. And I'll make sure I link it and list it below. It's just a great big faced stippling brush. Stippling brushes are also referred to as duo fiber brushes, and what that basically means is that it's going to pick up that powder once you dip it in, and the white ones are what is going to diffuse it and blend it and really smooth it out over the skin. I love stippling brushes for very dark bronzers or super shimmery ones because it really does blend it out smoothly and it looks more natural and it doesn't look patchy whatsoever. They're awesome for the beginner because they won't put on too much product, and even if you do put on too much product, they blend it out really seamlessly, really nicely. Another brush I like to use for contouring is this one from Benefit. This is just an extra one that I had. This is your Narzita brush, pretty much for free. If you have Benefit Hoola or any of the box of powders from Benefit, pop out your brush and use it to contour with. You will get the most amazing contour. Your cheekbones will pop. I'm telling you guys. Use this brush the next time you go to contour and you will thank me. I love this. This is my favorite. Okay, and so now we're going to talk about blush. I have two brushes. These are the two I reach for the most, and they do two very different things. So the first one is from Real Techniques. It looks like a bunny tail. It's rounded, very oversized, but it picks up that powder that you want. So once you're blending it and putting it onto your cheeks, it's actually diffusing it and blending it out really nicely. So you're not going to end up with that clown cheek effect. It's going to blend it out. It doesn't matter how pigmented the blush is. This really does a great job of blending out your blush. It's so soft. I think if you haven't checked out the Real Techniques line in general, definitely check them out. You can find them at Ulta and I think some Walgreens and Rite Aids. Big fan. I love Real Techniques. So this next blush brush is different because it's kind of slanted, as you can see. This is from IT Cosmetics, and this is their number 227 Flawless Blush Brush. And because it is angled, it's a great brush to just pop onto the apples of your cheeks and sort of drag it upwards. And then again, it blends really nicely. It's a really soft brush. I think this is my first ever IT Cosmetics brush. Ever since that purchase, I have been picking up more and more IT Cosmetics brushes because they're so soft. They're so good. So the next category is highlight, and I have these two little guys here. So this first one is from Real Techniques. This is actually their setting brush, and it's supposed to be used to, I guess, set your concealer with powder underneath, but I like it more for highlight because it is so small, but it's also really fluffy. So it definitely picks up that product. It definitely gives you that pigmentation, but then it blends it out really nicely. You don't end up with highlight all over your cheeks, just in that little section where your actual cheekbone is, and it looks amazing. It does a great job of blending it out. This is the one I used to set my concealer with powder. This is the highlight brush. So as you can see, this one's a lot smaller, really gets on those cheekbones and highlights. I think it came in a kit, but still worth it because you'll get other amazing Real Techniques brushes with it. Highly recommend. And then this other one is a random brand. I don't know, I've never heard of this brand before, but I got it in one of my Ipsy bags. I think it says SL Miss Glam, and it's pink, it's cute, and it says this is their small contour W7 brush. The reason why I like this one is because if I'm working with a highlight that is very subtle or just doesn't want to pick up on my brushes, this brush is going to pick up that product, really make it pop on your cheeks, really stand out, but at the same time it blends it in nicely. So it can look natural, but at the same time it's noticeable, if that makes any sense at all. But this brush works well, and again, it's the SL Miss Glam Small Contour Brush number W07. Moving on to powder, I have two techniques that I like to use. One being the I'm done with my foundation, I want to set my face so I can go in with other powders on top. Any powder you try to apply on top of foundation when it's sticky and just kind of tacky, it's not going to let you apply other powders on top easily, so you always have to set your foundation. And I love using little kabuki brushes. So this one from e.l.f. is one of my absolute favorites. I just pop her into a nice little pressed powder, translucent, and this picks it up, pops it on, and blends it out nicely. I get it done in just a couple of seconds because it is rather large. I love this kabuki brush. I've been using this maybe for 4 years now. The other way that I like to apply powder is with an actual brush with a nice long wand, and this one is from IT Cosmetics. This is my second brush from the line that I picked up after I picked up the blush one. Fell in love with this. This one's even softer if that's possible. It's a great all over face powder brush. You can set your face with translucent powder using this, but it also works well at picking up foundation powder. So if you are more of a foundation powder type girl, this does a great job. It gives you that nice even coverage. It makes it look seamless and flawless. And this is the 225 complexion powder brush from IT Cosmetics. And now last, I thought I would end with the eye brushes. I have just a handful. I'm not going to go all ham. I'm not going to get all crazy. But these are the ones I typically reach for when I'm doing my eye makeup. And one of them is a brand new favorite, but I'm going to save that for last. So the first ones I want to start with are the blending brushes. I have, again, a drugstore and a high end. My favorite from the drugstore is the Wet n Wild crease brush. It's a blending brush. These are, I think, $1. I love to use this for any color in the crease. Just does a great job of not only popping that color in there, but blending it out. So it looks really nice, really smoked out, really diffused. I just love this brush. And then the other one is from Sigma. This is their Tapered Blending E40 brush. It's a little bit skinnier, a little bit more tapered, and it does a great job of working with very, very pigmented shadows. I feel like it does a great job of popping it in, but then blending it out, but not taking away the color. Not a huge Sigma fan, honestly. There's a lot of Sigma brushes I don't like. Some of them are really scratchy. This one is pretty soft, does the job, and I really enjoy using this in the crease when I'm doing a very, very smoky eye. So again, it's the E40. So the next brush that's important to have in your collection is something to pack on pigment or shimmer, and this one from Sigma is their Eye Shading E55. I love this one, and I also love the one from e.l.f. The e.l.f. one's $1, but I can't find it anywhere. Some flat shader brushes don't pick up enough product, and I feel like you have to sit there for a million years trying to get that product on your eye. You have to spray it with Fix Plus and all that kind of stuff. This one from Sigma does a great job, so does the one from e.l.f. And I highly recommend that you get an eye shading brush in your collection because it'll really help you when you're doing your eye makeup, and you won't have to use your fingers so much. And then this next one looks similar in shape. This is the Sigma Medium Sweeper E54. It's a little bit longer, but it still has that flat shape to it. And this is the one I like to use to highlight underneath the brow bone. It does a really good job of picking up the product, but it's small enough to get in there, which is really great. Some other brushes I've tried using that have this exact same shape are too big. So when I go to apply that highlight underneath the brow, I feel like it kind of goes on top of the eyeshadow too. And I don't like that. This brush fits perfectly. So I don't reach for any of my pricier pencil brushes anymore because this one just gets the job done. I'm reaching for it all the time, and it's much more affordable, which makes me happy. This is from e.l.f. And if you're on the market for a nice pencil brush, check out e.l.f. Check out their new collection of brushes because they're all pretty good, but this one's my favorite. So this next brush is the e.l.f. Angled Contour Brush. I'm not even sure if this is an eye brush or a face brush, but it was sitting there within my brush collection, and I've been reaching for it recently, and I have been loving this brush so much, and I'm going to share with you exactly how I've been using it. So as you can see, it has kind of like an angle to it, like a contour brush should, but it's really small. I've never really tried this as a contour brush on my face. Maybe in the past I have, I don't remember, but what I've been using this for is to pick up darker eyeshadow shades that are more pigmented once I've finished my whole entire eye look, and I'll just stamp it in that outer corner using that angle so that the taller part of the brush is on top and the lower part is closer to my lash line, and it gives you this nice smoky effect really fast. So you can do your whole eye makeup and then put on your mascara, and then before you step away from your vanity or your mirror, you may say to yourself, well, I feel like I want a little bit more smokiness to the outer corners. Just stamp this brush in, pop it on, barely even move it back and forth. It looks blended, it looks very natural, and it definitely picks up that product, and it just adds such a nice final touch. Really love this brush. Again, it's the Angled Contour Brush from e.l.f. I don't know how much it is. I think it's $2 or $3. I'll be sure to let you guys know below. So if you made it this far into the video, then you know I have a lot of brushes, and I have even more than the ones I just mentioned, but to be quite honest, these are the ones I've been using on a day-to-day basis. So hopefully you guys found this video both helpful and maybe enjoyable. Let me know if you have any future requests to see on my channel so I can film them for you guys. Don't forget to subscribe down there, and I will definitely see you guys in my next video. Mwah. Bye.